Hello everyone, Dr. Ames here. This time I'd like to talk to you about the importance of entrepreneurs to the creation of wealth. Now, as we've talked about before, an entrepreneur is a person who takes a risk, and they're risking their time and money to start or manage a business, and really they are the source of jobs in our economy and innovation and all sorts of things. Um, and so their importance to the creation of wealth for your overall country, for your culture, relates to your standard of living, certainly, and also the quality of life. So there are some real positives to being an entrepreneur. The first thing is that you have the freedom to succeed. In other words, you have opportunity. If you're an entrepreneur and you're in a culture that values entrepreneurialism, then you do have the freedom to succeed, to try ventures, to take a small risk, a calculated risk, based on what your analysis of the business environment and the situation is. So another big advantage of being an entrepreneur is that you get to make your own decisions. Um, Making your own decisions is a powerful lure to many people who simply would like to be in charge of their own daily life, who kind of thrive on the idea that there's a little bit of risk involved, that they are taking some chances, even if they are measured ones. They like being in control, or the sense that they are really in control of their own daily lives. So making your own decisions is not to be underestimated in what motivates and drives many people to go down that entrepreneurial path. And certainly the biggest positive, depending on how you look at it, is the potential to get wealthy. In our culture, being an entrepreneur can lead to vast wealth. And there are so many business examples out there of people who started with virtually nothing and ended up incredibly wealthy. One of the most obvious that comes to mind is Mark Zuckerberg, a college student who started Facebook, who now is one of the world's most wealthy billionaires. And he has gained not only wealth, but influence and power that go with it because of the particular industry and product that he's created. So depending on how you look at it, that possible wealth, though, the lure and potential of getting rich, is a very big positive in motivating people to be an entrepreneur. Now, of course, we do have some downsides. Whereas we have the freedom to succeed, we have the opportunity to take that risk. That also means we have the freedom to fail. And so there are plenty of business statistics out there to say that most businesses who start up, most entrepreneurial ventures, don't make it much beyond 5 years. In fact, many are lucky to make it 2 to 3 years. And so although we do have the great opportunity to succeed, we also have the freedom to fail. And so that's the other side of being successful, of getting possibly wealthy. Accumulating wealth is that you might fail, and you could lose it all, so to speak. Not just what the time and energy you've invested into it, but financially, there's always that possibility that you wreck your future for a while anyway. And then there are some more obvious sorts of negatives to being an entrepreneur while you're doing the process of running a business, starting it up for the first time. All that can be incredibly time consuming. I know from starting both a service business and a retail operation, I can tell you that it consumes you, and that you are working 24/7, and that your family life can suffer from it. You're thinking about your business all the time. You're talking about your business all the time. It's always on your mind, and it's always in your actions. So one of the downsides is you don't always get to take a paid vacation. And this was very true of when I had my collectibles and comic book store. I was open for about 6 years, and the only way I really got a vacation was I had a store in Columbia, and I contrived a business trip to go to San Diego Comic Con once a year for 3 years in a row. And I was able to write the cost of driving out there, because I don't like to fly, so I drove out, and I'd spend the 3 days of the convention and 3 days each way driving back and forth. And I would write off those expenses. I would buy inventory when I was out there, and do all that sort of stuff. But it wasn't really a vacation in that sense. It was a working vacation. It's work to drive across the country. Um, and putting in 8-hour days at a convention and feeling like you're wheeling and dealing, that's not really a vacation. Although I have to say, being an entrepreneur really feeds on itself, and if you have that sort of personality, then doing those sorts of things feel great at the time, and I don't think they're a waste of time. Even though it is a downside, you don't really get to like take time off with your business. I couldn't leave the store anytime I wanted just to go do something. I had set hours, 6 days a week, sometimes 7 days a week. When business was slow, I would just change them when I need to. And I was there a lot, and I was open from 10 in the morning till 6, 7 in the evening, when I had calculated over time that when the most peak hours, and so forth. And then there are some other downsides. You've got to take out insurance, and you've got to pay that cost. That can be a real expense if you're running your revenues are just barely covering your expenses. You're trying to build up a clientele and all the things that go with being an entrepreneur. Particularly if you're a retailer, it is very tough. Now today you can avoid a lot of that by doing online businesses or providing some services. So it doesn't have to be in a brick and mortar store. But you still need some insurance, some liability insurance, and things like that. But think about your health insurance. Where's that going to come from? We're still trying to figure it out nationally, whether or not everybody's going to be able to get Medicare for all or whatever. But right now there is no Medicare or health care for all. And in fact, tens of millions of people in the country already don't have health insurance. Well, if you're running a business and you don't have health insurance, what happens? Who pays those bills if something happens to you? You're in real trouble, and it could put you out of business just like that. So there are some negatives to being an entrepreneur, particularly if you're not well financed and so forth. But on the other hand, the positives, appeal to so many of us, and really do determine whether or not we're going to take that path and become that entrepreneur. Okay, folks, that's it for this time.